The Committee of the Whole meeting of Osoyoos Town Council, Tuesday, March the 10th, 2026 at 9 a.m. in Council Chambers. So I will first of all ask that the Committee of the Whole agenda be approved and there are no late items. No, thank you. Councillor King, Councillor Bennett, all in favor. Thank you. And we welcome Councillor Poderica, who is on the screen today. He's on holiday, so he's joining us from there. The adoption of some minutes, the Committee of the Whole minutes from February the 10th, 2026. Could we have a motion to adopt those, please? Councillor Chong, Councillor Bennett, all in favor? Thank you. And so this morning we have a couple of delegations, and our first one is the Community Foundation of the South Okanagan Similkameen. And we have a presentation from Kim English, who's the regional manager, and Yuki Ihara, who is the donors. Good. Well, welcome to Osoyoos, and please, and we have a presentation on screen, and we have some in our binders as well and online. So thank you very much, and please go ahead.
Good morning, Mayor and Council, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today. As you mentioned, my name is Kim English, and I work with the Community Foundation of the South Okanagan Similkameen, and we're grateful for the opportunity to share a few updates about community giving and neighborhood leadership here in Osoyoos. I'm joined by my colleague Yuki, who serves as the Donor Services Manager, working closely with individuals, families, and businesses who want to give back to their communities in meaningful ways. A big part of our role is establishing new funds that support local priorities across our region. So I will invite Yuki to start by sharing a little bit about impactful giving, including some new funds that have been recently established in Osoyoos.
Thanks, Kim. Just echoing Kim, thanks so much for the opportunity to speak with you today. Before I dive in, I'll just give a very, very brief overview on the Community Foundation and sort of how we started. Our Community Foundation, South Okanagan Similkameen, was started in the early 1990s. It took a couple years after some 6 founding endowment funds were created. Our first grants came out. That first round of grants was just over $2,000, and I think it went to 6 charities. Fast forward to today, we've been serving the entire RDOS region for over 30 years, and now our annual grants, we probably typically see close to 1.5 million a year. And this is all thanks to the generosity of the community investing in the funds to meet the local needs. In our history as well, we have granted, I want to say, over 12 million now as well. And you know, the bread and butter of all community foundations, you'll find a community foundation across Canada is endowment funds. But over time, we've grown and evolved beyond that. You know, we do absolutely create funds and run grant programs, but we do a lot more. You know, we want to make grants, but also make impact. And the way that we do that is by working with 3 core groups. That's the donors. Those can be, as Kim mentioned, individuals, families, service clubs, local businesses, and connecting their generosity to local charities. So really, we're channeling the community's generosity to create lasting change. We'll go into a little bit about endowment funds when we talk about the Osoyoos Community Fund, but really with an endowment, when a donation is made, it's preserved as capital. That capital is invested, and from the earnings, we make annual grants. I won't go into every little bullet on this slide here, but really what I want to show here is with the donors, we offer a variety of ways that they can give. You know, there's legacy funds, funds that are designated to specific organizations, funds that they have the opportunity to advise every year on where they would like it to be directed, and funds that are at the discretion of the foundation, giving us the flexibility to direct it to where we feel it will make the greatest impact. And with local charities, they also have the opportunity to create an endowment fund for themselves, as well as flow through funds that are non-endowed, meant for more immediate granting. And with the community, we have the community funds, which we'll speak to in a little bit, as well as the neighborhood small grants. And we've got the giving circles. We have the 100 Women Who Care and 100 Men Who Care giving circle. And that's really a reflection of, I would say, the power of collective giving. Each of those members, they give an annual donation. For the women, it's $300 a year. For the men, it's $400 a year. And that's pooled. And we hear from various charities across the region, including Osoyoos. And the collection, the pool of donations is then shared among the charity presenters. Moving on. So specifically in Osoyoos, in 2025, just over 45,000 was granted to the community. This is really made up of a variety of funds and programs. So there's 2 agency funds. So those are endowment funds created by charities based in Osoyoos. 8,850 were distributed as bursaries to students in Osoyoos. And of the 45,000, 33,900 was granted to 4 different Osoyoos charities, and 6 unique NSG projects were funded. I'll quickly pass it over to Kim to talk about the Osoyoos Community Fund.
Thanks, Yuki. Excuse me, my voice. I was yelling at my dogs a bit much this morning on the walk. Yes, we have established the Osoyoos Community Fund. It was established, gosh, yeah, over 20 years ago. Currently, we have total grants at 10,500 that we've granted out from that pool, and we've received $15,500 dollars in donations over that time, and we'd certainly like to see that increase. And to speak specifically about the Osoyoos Community Fund, it is a permanent endowment fund that is held at the Community Foundation, but this is specifically to benefit the community of Osoyoos and its residents. Similar to our endowment fund, with donations to the Osoyoos Fund, they are invested, and each year earnings are granted back into local organizations and initiatives that support community well-being. What makes this model powerful is that it creates a lasting source of funding for Osoyoos. Every contribution helps grow a pool of resources that will continue supporting the community, not just today, but for generations to come. Over time, community funds like this become an important tool. They allow residents, families, and businesses to give where they live and know that their contributions will always stay rooted in the community. And really, one of the most important and helpful things that council and staff could do is just to simply help raise the awareness that the fund exists. Many residents, as we know, care really deeply about their community, and they want to contribute, but they may not know exactly where or how. And the Osoyoos Community Fund, it grants to every community activity and initiative. It's not specific for the environment or animals or for children. We are what we call a 360 charitable foundation that supports all activities in community. But when the fund is mentioned through community conversations, at local events and conversations with residents and businesses, it helps more people discover that they can be a part of something that's lasting and permanent and really builds for the future generations of Osoyoos residents. And ultimately, as that awareness grows, the fund grows. We're seeing this in communities throughout the South Okanagan, Similkameen. The Lower Similkameen has a very active fund, the Princeton and area as well. But yes, those dollars stay just in Osoyoos year after year. So I'll pass it to Yuki to talk more about the local funds.
Yeah, 2025 was actually an amazing year in Osoyoos. There was 2 funds that were established. The first one pictured here is the Jim and Goodwin Moore Legacy Fund, and that was an endowment fund that was created and designated to the Desert Sun Counseling and Resource Center. This was brought on, it was just really great timing, Marie Sitar the executive director there, was speaking with a donor, and they wanted a way to make a lasting impact, an option for legacy giving. And so, working all together, we created the Jim and Goodwin Legacy Fund. And that is an open fund, meaning that others are encouraged and welcome to donate and support the sustainability and longevity of Desert Sun. And they've actually had a very strong start, not just from the Moore family's generous donation, but after the story was shared in the Times Chronicle, they had another donor step up and also invest in that fund as well. And last year, at the end of the summer, we had an incredible $1 million donation from the, then it was Osoyoos Credit Union. Now, since then, they have merged as Cascadia. And each of the branches that merged into Cascadia, they actually each create an endowment fund. And it was a way for them to really reflect and honor their roots back to the home communities that their businesses were established and grown in. So each of the respective credit union community legacy funds will be designated back to their home communities, meaning this one is going to be focused on Osoyoos, the one in Summerland is Summerland, and then Revelstoke is in Revelstoke.
Thanks. That's very exciting news. We were really thrilled with those big-hearted donations and really investments for the community and year after year. So going into neighborhood small grants. So, you know, we're kind of here kind of unpacking more of what we do as a foundation. But of course, we also support the community, as Yuki was speaking about at the first slide, and that is with neighborhood small grants, often referred to as NSG. Neighborhood Small Grants provides micro grants up to $500 directly to residents who want to bring neighbors together simply to share ideas and to build community. Projects range from neighborhood potlucks to skill sharing workshops to cultural celebrations, intergenerational activities, and small gatherings that help one another. You know, we've been offering NSG now for this will be our 10th year, and we still get questions from donors and community members why the Community Foundation offers neighborhood small grants and the purpose of them. But at the heart of neighborhood small grants, it's really around building stronger and caring communities, and that really starts at the grassroots with our neighbors, kind of instilling that sense of responsibility and citizenry to get to know each other, problem solve amongst themselves, celebrate where they live, and spark those stronger relationships. And, you know, in communities like Osoyoos, sometimes in like Summerland, where Yuki lives, these wonderful lakeside communities. NSG is also a powerful tool because the population shifts. We see our seasonal neighbors come back, and often, you know, we have then our snowbirds that go down, and we see at so many of these events of neighbors meeting each other for the first time, even though they've lived beside each other for like 5, 10, 20 years. So it's a really strong connector. And yes, since 2016, we've supported 40 neighborhood small grants, and that's just in Osoyoos. I think over the region, I should have this number, but I think we're around 800 neighborhood small grants over 10 years throughout the South Okanagan Similkameen. And I will share, it is co-funded by Vancouver Foundation. And about 2 years ago, a few years ago, they were going to sunset the program. And this was after expanding it across the province during the pandemic to again increase that connection. And then they re-looked at it. We actually hired in consultants to review the program, and they have reinvested that commitment for, we hope, another 10, 20 years. So we will be coming back with neighborhood small grants in your community. And I definitely encourage you to attend any of them if you get that invitation. And coming up for Osoyoos residents, these are important dates. We have an in-person NSG info session that is Saturday, April 11th at the Regional Library here. or you can join me online at March 24th. And you can find all those details at cfso.net. And the applications will be receiving them until April 17th. And I'll just say another piece of neighborhood small grants. And I just want to thank Councillor Bennett for attending our ABCD workshop that we held, a 2-day asset-based community development neighborhood small grants extravaganza with the Tamarack Institute from Ottawa come and just unpack kind of what the purpose is, how to connect people, how to ignite those stories. And that has rippled into me hosting a monthly neighbor online event called the Possibility Circle. So there have been some residents from Osoyoos that have joined online, and we're really excited to just deepen this program and ignite more donations in Osoyoos. So thank you so much for your time. And if you have any questions, we welcome them.
Thank you very much, both of you. You've explained that very well, and you were hoping that you would get some interest in communicating your ideas, and you've just done that. So this is online, and anybody who isn't watching it right now can go back onto our website and watch it. So thank you very much. I was going to mention, I know that there have been several community neighborhood small grants here. One of them, I know, I think they had, one group had a paramedic come and talk about naloxone and that kind of thing. It was a great one. There was another one that just got a meet and greet, and they had lunch and got an opportunity to talk to people. I'm thinking somebody should come up with a good one and invite the fire department to come and do Fire Smart. That would be a good one for anybody who's looking at doing this and getting the $500. You haven't had these for a couple of years, am I correct? Or
No,
you,
consistently every year. Um, and you know what? I just want to go back to your point on connecting it with resiliency and kind of that climate adaptation at the community level. And that it's one piece I'm working on kind of on a national level with Community Foundations of Canada, but also with the RDOS and Emergency Preparedness branch of the provincial government. And I even have in my budget additional dollars specifically to pilot a neighborhood resiliency stream at some point this year, and it will be because of the readiness of a lot of the neighborhoods, like you mentioned, that one neighborhood that you mentioned, they started their first year, they didn't know each other. It was just like, let's get to know each other. The second year, they invited paramedics. The third year, they invited another local expertise to share skills. So we're at this point in neighborhoods all around that beyond that intentional of getting to know, we want them to start thinking about resident-led climate adaptation and what that looks like. So I will be connecting with the fire departments and currently working with the RDOS to offer the specific stream just for those neighborhoods that are kind of, they already know each other, or they're ready, or they have that neighborhood champion that's like, I'm going to make you ready because we've got to get ready.
so I've just one more, and then I was going to say that there's been a big push in this community because there are a lot of very, very active donors in this community, and they really support a lot of things, but the Hospital Foundation has been front and center for a while. And so people need to decide where to put their money, of course, but every time you hear about something, like you had the article in the paper, it caused somebody else to think about it. So all of these things are good. So I'm going to see if anybody on council has a question or would like to comment. Myers, would you like to start? Because you were at the workshop. Was that helpful?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, it's very interesting because it was a whole different culture of people and people from all over the South Okanagan, and everybody sat around, a lot of roundtable discussion. So there's a lot of, wasn't just all people from council. I think there was only one or two was from council, but people from all kinds of walks of life sharing ideas. And I think the big thing is that I guess this is tax deductible. the donations. So if people are looking for a tax deduction and somewhere to put their funds, it's a great place to do it. And I guess the other thing is, I just wonder about your investments. Like, is there a certain government stipulation where you have to put those investments? I imagine there would be, where those investments are safe, that people are putting their money into.
Oh, in terms of the invested capital, we do work with a professional investment firm. And we do look at, risk and we want steady growth. So that's something that we do ensure we have policies and committees around to look after those investment strategies.
Because that'd be the most important thing, is that people know when they're donating into is going into a good fund that's really well managed.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Councillor Chong.
Thank you for coming in and presenting. In terms of the assessment criteria for what grants are approved and whatnot, how do you go about it? Do you have like a fairly standardized point system, or like is there certain weighting for different categories? It'd be nice to get some insight.
Sure. Well, we offer grants to not-for-profits as well as individuals, and how we review and score look similar but different. So for not-for-profits, we have community advisory committees. So it isn't staff that make those decisions, but we invite the community to join the Neighborhood Small Grants Advisory Committee. And as well, we have an invitation to our not-for-profit advisory committee. And really the main criteria for those individuals is that they love their community, their region, and life experience. We really represent the community. So we invite everyone that's interested, that has a heart for community and a vision for a stronger community. And then applicants, again, whether they're individuals or not-for-profits, we have a grant portal system that they go in, create a profile, and follow the application. And again, whether it's our application or if we are a flow-through funder for provincial or federal dollars, that criteria may differ. But when we're then coming back to the grassroots and talking about neighborhood small grants, these are just for people, not for organizations and businesses. And the criteria for neighborhood small grants is really quite simple. We score it on how great their ideas, how they're going to reach out to community. That's, the higher lens is what that impact looks like, if it's a 10-person event or a 50-person event. We also look at it through a safety lens. And I just want to back up with that as well. I was interviewed to represent the Provincial Neighborhood Small Grants Program when the Premier assigned the safety commissioner after the Lapu Lapu event to look at what small community events look like, and we talked about what our procedures look like, and also later on those recommendations came out provincially on other pieces that we should be mindful of. So this year we have that extra layer of community safety. But yes, everything is scored through a metric system, and then the advisory committees come together for that open conversation, and then decisions are made.
I can just add on to that a little bit. Yeah, she spoke more so on the neighborhood small grants review process, and a lot of that overlaps with the foundation grant as well. It's a community advisory group that has really a cross section of different life experiences, career backgrounds. We try to have a nice geographic representation from the region as well. But one thing to note is with our foundation grants, it's quite wide open. We do also encourage applications for general operations. Sometimes that's a big limitation, right, for foundation or other grants. And we do touch on a variety of field of interest, whether that be arts and culture, social services, food security, and so on. But our foundation grants, they're all funded or sourced from the endowment funds that have been created by community members. And there's different designations. You know, some funds are specified and earmarked for arts and culture. Some are specified for children and youth. So there is a little bit of variance on how much is available to be funded to specific organizations, but some are very open-ended. You know, those ones that have that open discretion, they provide the most flexibility, and that really gives us the greatest tool to fill the gaps.
Can I just jump in and ask, do you ask for a statement at the end of it? Do you ask for a report on how it was used and what you used the money for?
Oh, definitely. With whether it is not-for-profit or a neighborhood small grant, little grant, with organizations, we ask for reports, or we might go down and take some photos or videos. And then with neighborhood small grants, absolutely, we want to hear what they did. We want to hear great stories, what they did, maybe what the challenge was, how they overcame, what they expect for the if a potential future event, because we want to see this ripple out. And as well, photos for us, for just our responsibility with CRA, those photos and stories from these project leaders are our legal record that these were given as grants for the purpose intended.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
yeah.
much. Did you have something else? Go ahead. Yeah.
No, very insightful. How do you address sustainability? Do you have events like repeat events every year that apply for the same amount? Because then that creates more dependability on the fund, on the grant fund, which then kind of takes away onus on that non-profit group to kind of drive their own agency, right? So, and then, once you kind of build that pattern, and who knows what happens with investments if that grant funding shrinks, and it's like, oh, we can't support this event anymore. And then it becomes, kind of a pretty big issue.
Yeah, I assume that's more towards the foundation grants over neighborhood small grants. That's a question. Sure. So I will say our colleague Kevin Ronigan, he is our community investments manager, really looks after the grant programs. I will say he does a very good job of connecting and with the applicants and the local organizations. And I think the idea is balancing, the needs, but also sustainability. So maybe being a little bit more transparent and communicative about it's like, okay, yeah, we can fund this project or program for like this year and a coming year, but next year we want to see, some more planning about how it's going to be sustainable. We do want to really empower the charities and help them build infrastructure rather than, continuing to put a Band-Aid on it, right? So I do think that there is some conversations around that. We are quite connected to the charities that are in our region. Yeah, and aside from that, we do a variety of workshops, whether it be grant writing, whether it be estate planning and so on, to also support the nonprofit sector. Last year, we had invited the CEO of Imagine Canada, Bruce McDonald, and gathered different charities and NPOs from the region. And he had a presentation about really the trends and how we can advocate for the sector to the government.
Well, thank you very much. We really appreciate all the information that you've provided, and we hope that you will continue. I know that the one grant in Osoyoos started many, many years ago from a lady who I think she died and left some money, and that's kind of what started it, probably 25 years ago. And so it's grown since then. So I'm glad to see that. Anyway, thank you very much. And let's hope people watch this and make sure that they think about maybe donating or applying for one of the grants. Thank you so much. Okay, our next presenter is from the Osoyoos Desert Center, and this is our Executive Director, Jamie Fright. And I was just at one of Jamie's workshops this weekend. It was up at the Desert Center. No, it wasn't. It was at the high school, at the mini theater, and it was on birds, and a really interesting talk about banding of birds. And there was the one from Florida, the little brown bird.
Yeah, the sparrow.
The sparrow,
Grasshopper
yeah.
sparrow? Yeah.
Yeah, the grasshopper sparrow, that's what he eats, grasshoppers. And who knew that there was even grasslands in Florida?
In the
That-
Everglades.
we hadn't heard of that before. And the other one was on the whippoorwill, and really interesting talks. And I'm hoping that Jamie will mention that she's got some other ones coming up.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, please,
Well,
Jamie.
thank you, Mayor McCortoff and council members for having me here today. So yeah, I'm excited to give you a bit of an overview of 2025. So I come every year and do a little bit of a review of what's happened out at the Osoyoos Desert Center, and then we look ahead to see what we're going to be up to this coming year as well. So Mayor McCortoff mentioned the Movie and an Expert program that we just had one of the events this weekend. In 2025, then, we had two movies and an expert. We invited guest speaker Sue Elwell, who is a bird bander as well. And she, excuse me, she works banding hummingbirds and has for like 20 years. She's from Princeton. And so she gave a really great talk. And we paired that with a movie called Every Little Thing that focused on a woman in Los Angeles that has been caring for injured hummingbirds for the past 20 years. So it's really great. One of the best things about that film was to see, hummingbirds can hover, but they had these high-res, slow-motion video of the birds that hovering in that. So you could see how their tail feathers worked and their other feathers worked just to get them to be able to hover. It was really interesting seeing the mechanics of that little bird. And then we paired the next film that we did. We do two movie and an expert events over the winter time when we're closed, when the Osoyoos Desert Center is closed. Just that's our sort of community outreach kind of thing. We have them up at the high school in the theater there. So the second film we did in 2025 was a river film, and it included some really amazing footage of the Okanagan River and Osoyoos Lake, and sort of dealt with the relationship between people, fish, and the wider Columbia Basin. And we had Carrie Alex, who works with the Okanagan Nation Alliance Fisheries Department. She came out and told us a little bit about the great work that's being done in the Okanagan River Restoration Project. So yeah, really two great events. People gave us really great feedback about them. They were really well attended. So yeah, we're happy to do those. We also, just in terms of our season last year, worked again with the co-op programs at various universities, UVic, UBC, Okanagan College, UBCO, Simon Fraser, to hire up-and-coming scientists, biologists. They're students. They come out and work at the Osoyoos Desert Center over the season. And so we're really fortunate to have these young people come and join us. So, last year we had Ritti Bakshi, who's actually from Osoyoos, Kaylee Lesmeister, who's from Oliver, Aaron Kelly and Danica Larson also joined us. They are from Victoria, so we're really happy to have them and work with those programs every year. We also every year do several nature talks in the summer months, July and August. And so we had 7 in 2025. Everything from identifying wildflowers in the Okanagan to birding and to beating the heat, a talk that was about urban planning and architecture and how that can help mitigate the effects of climate change. That was given by one of our conservation guides. So really interesting stuff there. We also work with the Meadowlark Nature Festival every year. We do, in years past, we've done the Bluebird Nest Box building workshop, but we changed it up a little bit this year. And we did a mason bee house building workshop, and the event sold out really quickly. People love it. So yeah, that we called it Buzzing for Bees, and we'll probably do that one again this year because it was a really popular event. We also love to take part rather in the Canada Day celebrations. So our longtime volunteers, Roger Horton and Deb Sherwood, always sort of take the lead on this, and yeah, they took part in the Cherry Fiesta Parade, and then afterwards we had a little scavenger hunt at the Osoyoos Desert Center. This year we also took on a new initiative this year, or sorry, last year. The BC Bats EduKit is something that it's a hands-on kit for resources for educators or facilitators or nature clubs. It's this big duffel bag full of like bat puppets and games and bat costume posters and books, and you can see bat skulls and taxidermy. And so we have taken sort of I guess a loaner type program. We've taken over that, and so people can get in touch as teachers or whatnot get in touch with us and come and sign it out and take it to their classrooms and make use of those resources. It's really fun. So we had we started that in September last year, or sorry, this year, and so yeah, people or last year rather, people are really excited to see that. We also do a Walk in the Dark program, which is, we changed it up a little bit last year. We held it in August. And so when we started out, it was just dusk. And so it was really interesting to see some of the animals that were out at dusk time, like bats and that sort of thing. But when we finish, it is dark by the end. So it's a hugely popular event. People love being out on our boardwalk and out in that really quiet and sort of mystical atmosphere, I guess, in the evening. So that's a really popular event that we hold every year. One of the aspects of the conservation guide job is wildlife monitoring. Of course, having a site that, like the Antelope Brush Shrub Steppe, we want to keep track of all the animals that like to come and visit and live there. And so we have about a dozen bluebird nest boxes around the site that we monitor every year. So we go out and have a look at, first of all, who's nesting in it, because it might not always be bluebirds. And then how many eggs they laid, and how many eggs hatched, and how many fledglings they've had, that sort of thing. We keep the data on that, and then we submit it to a national database at the end of the season. And we also have 2 spadefoot breeding ponds out at the Osoyoos Desert Center, and we always pull the tadpoles, a couple of tadpoles out and put them on in an aquarium on our deck, and so people can come watch them. One day they'll sprout a leg, and the next day they'll sprout a leg, so you actually get to see them metamorphosize, which is really cool. People love to see that. And then we have wildlife cameras. So these are some of the animals that we capture. We always have bears at the Osoyoos Desert Center, which makes me a little bit nervous. People come running back to the interpreter building, and there's a bear out there. Like, just make a lot of noise, but it always makes me a little bit nervous. But it's always fun for people to see that kind of wildlife. And then, of course, we always get coyotes on the cameras and nuttals, cottontails, those kind of things. So we keep track of that. And then the other important aspect that we have is that we do at the Osoyoos Desert Center, and a big part of conserving habitat is invasive plant control. It's a serious threat invasives are a serious threat to our natural landscape and our native plant species. So we keep a good eye on that. We do a lot of weeding. We have a project that was started years and years ago, using a biocontrol agent, which is this little weevil that lives on the highly invasive Dalmatian toadflax that we have. So yeah, it's interesting to see that it kind of happens in cycles. Sometimes the weevil's winning some years, and other years the Dalmatian toadflax is winning. But what the weevil does is it lays its eggs and its larvae in the stem of the toadflax, and it weakens it so that they can't propagate as effectively and quickly. So that's kind of cool. We also do field trips and group tours. We host hundreds of students from elementary, middle, and secondary levels, both with the School District 67 and the School District 53, as well as university students and homeschoolers. We've had students come from Penticton, Oliver, Osoyoos, of course, Karamios, Nelson, Outma School at the Penticton Indian Bands and Elkin Center, and yeah, all from all over the region for sure. And our school field trips tie into the curriculum depending on what age the kids are. So it could be the food chain or biodiversity or animal adaptations, that sort of thing. And we also have a lot of group tours. Of course, a lot of seniors clubs come from the coast, travel clubs. But we also get the Penticton and District Society for Community Living and One Sky come out with people that they work with diverse abilities. So that sort of leads me into our next project that we undertook last year, which is our accessibility project. So we were able to make accessibility improvements to our parking area and our pathways at the Osoyoos Desert Center. We put crushed gravel down in our native plant garden, and then also created two wheelchair parking spaces in our parking lot, and also re-graveled with crushed gravel, which is something that makes it easy to use if you're in a wheelchair. And we are right now, and have been since last year, working on the design and construction of new accessible washrooms. So that is, we've got it, you can see it up on the blocks there, working on just the undercarriage of it for now. But we will be moving it down and working on the interior in the next couple of weeks here. So we're really excited about that. It was something that was really, really needed. We're also very thankful to the town's community services grant that helped us out with that project, as well as the community foundation, in fact. So many funders, and yeah, it's really exciting to get that. It was definitely in need. So the other thing that we do, of course, we work with a lot of volunteers as a nonprofit organization. We rely on volunteers to help us with our day-to-day operations. We couldn't do it without them. So we have a building committee, we have gardening committees, events and promotions committees, and our admissions desk volunteers who greet all of our visitors. We definitely couldn't do that without them. So yeah, big shout out to our volunteers. Looking forward in 2026, we have, once again, we're going to be presenting our biennial Romancing the Desert event coming up on August 22nd. So mark your calendars. Hope you can all come. It's a fantastic event, of course, where people come and they have get to enjoy this wonderful dinner in the courtyard area. Before that, they go out on a walk along our boardwalk and just stop along the way and have like some wine tastings with some food pairings. So it's a great event. And just the next couple of slides, Amy, are just pictures of the event. So you can see yeah, it's a really awesome event. And so we're really excited to be presenting that again in 2026. So yeah, I mean, the last year for the Osoyoos Desert Center was a pretty good year. We, we're pretty on solid footing financially. And of course, our core funders that help us with operational funding, day-to-day operational funding. You heard the Community Foundation representatives talking about how tough it is to get grants for operations. And so certainly the town's annual contribution to us is a big help. But we've been at 15,000 for many years. I tried to find out what year we actually started that, but I've been at the Desert Center since 2020, so 6 years. So it was before that. We've been at a $15,000 level, and I would like to, if possible, respectfully request an increase to 20,000 in the next budget, because we have as everybody has, experienced substantial increases in operational costs. Of course, minimum wage has been increasing over the last many years, every year. And we actually, in order to attract our summer staff, we need to compete with other nonprofit organizations like the Osoyoos Stewardship Society or Osoyoos and Similkameen Invasive Species Society, those kinds of conservation groups that hire co-op students as well. So we have to keep our wages competitive, and plus we we want our staff to have a livable wage as well. So, you know, with rent and that being at what it is, so we have to increase our wages, and also just inflation since 2020. I went back and just did some calculations. So our increase in supplies, in, you know, materials that we need to run the Osoyoos Desert Center. So supplies have increased since 2020, 31%. Our accounting service has gone up 3 times since 2020. Our insurance costs have increased 30%. Our dues and subscriptions increased 5 times over those years. Our wages 41% and educational materials 59%. So it's just the cost of inflation, and it has really sort of hit the bottom line for the Osoyoos Desert Center. So so yeah, thank you so much for your support every year. We really appreciate it. And we also really appreciate the funding that we get for our special projects, the RMI funding or the and the community services grants. So thank you so much for all your support.
Thank you very much, Jamie. That was interesting. I just wanted to point out that the river film that you mentioned last year is available in the libraries. It always has been, and I have a copy as well because I was interviewed for it. So I have a very short little piece in there.
Fantastic.
So that's a good one. Finance. You obviously get money from other sources. Can you tell us a little bit about where the money that to run the Desert Center comes from? Because it certainly can't just come from the grant that you get from Osoyoos. And I'm glad that you're applying for the other, the community grants and the RMI. So could
Absolutely.
you ask?
Yeah, so our operational funding is difficult to find, but we do get operational funding from our annual BC Gaming grant. And we also get operational funding, although it's never a for sure thing, from the federal government. It's the Canada Summer Jobs funding that helps us pay for partially for our staff that we hire every year. It is 100% funding, but it only funds minimum wage, and we offer a higher than minimum wage to our guides. And the other funding that comes so it's about 30% foundations and corporate and individual donations, about 30%, 33, I guess, from government. And then about 33% of it is from our own revenue streams, the admissions from the Osoyoos Desert Center, we have a gift shop in the Osoyoos Desert Center, our membership, other events or initiatives that we might undertake, or sometimes we do raffles and those kinds of things. That's where the other third of our funding comes from.
Thank you very much. So I'm assuming Romancing the Desert is specifically a fundraising event for projects at is that?
It is.
I'm thinking, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I'll just see if anybody else has any. Councillor
Thank you, Madam
King.
Mayor. Is the bluebird a local bird?
The western bluebird, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And some of the western bluebirds will migrate, but some actually stay around all winter long.
So is the boxes you build specific for the bluebird, or are there a certain design or something?
They are actually, and the western bluebird is a really big citizen science conservation success story, because in the early 1900s, bluebirds in North America were losing their habitat, which they are cavity nesters. So they nest in like dead trees or in the cavity that might have been created by a woodpecker. And so farmers and ranchers or whatever started removing these dead trees, thinking they were unsightly or they were possibly a fire hazard. And so the bluebirds started to lose their habitat. And so their populations really declined. And then in the 1970s, there's a fellow, his last name is Johnson. He built the Johnson's slot box. So the bluebird nest box is kind of imitates a cavity, like in a tree. So there's this little slot, and that's where the bluebirds go in. So yeah, we have Johnson's slot boxes all around the Osoyoos Desert Center. And so yeah, so there's this big North America-wide initiative where people could take these nest boxes and put them on their properties. And today, Western bluebird populations have bounced back, and they're thriving. So it's kind of one of those conservation success stories that you don't hear a lot about sometimes.
Fantastic. Do you know that Osoyoos has a national bird attached to Osoyoos?
I don't know.
Well, maybe we could attach one.
How about
good
the
idea.
crow? Because we're on the crow's nest highway.
Well, the quails are not native. They're from California. Yeah. But they are cute. Everyone loves them.
And they reproduce often
Yeah.
in one season.
Yeah, the little tiny babies are the
Yes.
cutest.
Anybody else have any questions or concerns?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Have you noticed that there's been a cougar around recently?
The which?
A cougar on your property?
Oh, we don't get cougars very often. We get bobcats, but yeah, I think they like to stay up in the hills. Unless they're injured, then they'll come down looking for easy food. But yeah,
You just don't want to cross the highway?
maybe not, hopefully not, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Jamie. That was very interesting. And certainly we could perhaps look. I know that Director Keith is here and she looks after finances. And I saw her write this down that perhaps we could look at increasing the grant next year. But please make sure that you, the money that the town gives, please make sure that you apply for every grant. And I know I've signed a couple of letters for you to apply for other grants. So that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much for coming
Thank you.
today, and we appreciate everything that you do out at the Desert Center.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, I don't think there's anything else on the agenda today. Thank you. Are you seconding it, Counselor Potterica? Okay.
Yes, Your Worship.
Moved and seconded that we terminate the meeting. All in favor. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you later. Zach at 2.